got me jealous of you.
I want to do a couple of things. First of all, I want to say again, thank you for being supporters of what I think is a transformative event in Salisbury, our National Folk Festival. Thank you all. As we get started this evening, I want to offer my sincere thanks to our friends, the co-hosts of the National Folk Festival in Salisbury, Maryland, Governor Larry and First Lady Yumi Hogan, and Jim and Jan Perdue. And I know Jim and Jan are with us this evening. Let's hear it for them. Your willingness to volunteer in this capacity, committing yourselves to more than just making an appearance and an occasional fundraiser, you have taken on the role of brand ambassador, and you've brought our message to the media, donors, supporters, and potential event attendees. So I really, truly thank you. In videos, in press appearances, and even at events like this, you can find one of our co-chairs singing the praises of the National Folk Festival, inviting the uninitiated to experience it for themselves. And I want to once again say thank you for this, taking on this responsibility and for pursuing it with such obvious joy and passion for our community, for the arts, and for music. Thank you. I also want to thank our local festival manager, Caroline O'Hare. Where's Caroline? Let's see. Where's Caroline? There she is in the back. Caroline, you made year one a flawless success. We appreciate you so much. And next year, can you order a little less rain? Yeah? Okay, 2019, good deal. To our dear friends, Laura Bottinelli, Julia Olin, and the entire crew at NCTA, we wouldn't be here without you. We wouldn't be here if you hadn't chosen us. What you've provided to the American people all of this year is nothing short of a national treasure, and I think it has been acknowledged as such by our National Park Service, National Endowment for the Arts, and National Endowment for the Humanities. It's an immense honor to be entrusted with continuing that legacy. From the beginning of the application process, we knew that we were up against seriously stiff competition all around America. But we believe that the NCTA would see in this community what we see in ourselves, a city and a community on the rise. A city that believes in so much and dreams so big that nothing seems out of reach to us. Thank you for bringing this wonderful institution to Salisbury. We look forward to continuing with you this partnership and to the remaining 2 national festivals, but also to the years ahead as a partner on the festival which will take root here once the national moves on to its next host city. Once again, to the NCTA team, we thank you. To our local donors, members of the Legacy Society, community partners, in-kind supporters, volunteers, city employees, university employees, city, county, and state first responders, police officers, firefighters, EMS, our production technicians, members of the Bucket Brigade, you're awesome. And to our elected officials, thank you. Thank you, thank you for taking this journey with us. We couldn't possibly throw an event of this scope without you. When we put out the call, y'all stood up. And you said, we're here with you. How can we help? I appreciate each and every one of you so much. So, if you'll do me a favor, at the top of your lungs, if you're a donor, if you're an elected official, if you're a supporter, if you're a volunteer, let me hear a cheer at the top of your lungs. My point is we got a room full of people who are hands-on. Thank you. So being here to kick off year 2 feels surprisingly similar to how it felt kicking off year 1. And that's because the National Folk Festival has an infectious energy to it. Previous host cities tell us of the massive impact the festival had on their communities. And articles have been written about the festival's importance beyond its laudable mission to preserve and to celebrate the folk arts. But it's more than just a 3-day concert, and every single person here knows that. It's a ready-built community self-esteem builder. And ours is a community which had long needed that same shot in the arm. We had needed to rediscover our sense of self-worth. And that's not to say that we weren't on the right track before the National got here, but the difference is certainly noticeable since. The National Folk Festival gives its host communities a reason to create connections, bringing together neighborhoods and businesses, nonprofits, government, and volunteers. If you were with us at the volunteer kickoff last year, then you saw firsthand what I'm talking about. 1,000+ volunteers of every creed, color, political stripe, musical preference, religion, and home address filled the Civic Center to capacity. And it was an awesome sight. Social media of the coverage took us to new, previously unimagined heights in terms of citizen participation, video views, likes, and shares. Something that really struck me was the overwhelmingly positive tone of the posts being shared on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And I'm told Snapchat, though I don't use Snapchat. Sure, there were, some concerned folks about street closures, perfectly understandable, but we didn't see a lot of that. Instead, the vibe was overwhelmingly upbeat, with newcomers sharing how wonderful this city was that they discovered, and lifelong residents detailing how they were seeing their downtown in a way they had never seen it before. And I gotta say, I'm one of those folks. I walked our streets without much to do during the Folk Festival. It was awesome. Everything was being handled. And I got to see this, and there are people right now saying, yeah, we remember. I got to see our city in a way I hadn't gotten to see it before, and it was so cool. It was perhaps the biggest shot of vitality and life serum that downtown Salisbury had ever seen. From an economic standpoint, the view is just as bright. $18 million in direct transactional impact just in year one, over $1 million in future visitor impact, 3 million views on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram, translated to $800,000 in marketing impact. That's like getting almost $1 million in free advertising. All of this in spite of heavy rain, which certainly kept many away. Imagine what some sunshine's gonna do for us, right? In its first year here, I like to think the National Folk Festival showed us more than we expected to see, because I think we were all expecting to experience, the art of it, the performances, obviously, right? World-class musicians and dancers, delicious food from around the globe, some craft beer, and delicious wine, and that would have been more than enough. But the festival showed us what we, together, can achieve, what we look like at our best. My favorite pictures from the slideshow that has been rolling behind us are the ones of kids playing, paying rapt attention as they witness cultures that they've never experienced before and that they might not again in this community. I love the shots of beaming volunteers, their smiles impervious to the persistent rain. That's what the Folk Festival is to me. We're all here tonight to kick off this year's fundraising efforts. What the Folk Festival does for our community doesn't and cannot happen without your support, your generosity. And so we're asking you to join the team at whichever level is comfortable and achievable for you. There are donation cards circulating. If you have a Venmo account, you can find us on the app. If you find one of our 3 beautiful volunteers with a bucket, Skip, you're a beautiful man. Will our 3 people raise your buckets and ring your bells? Let's hear it for them. Let's hear it for them. Find one of them. Give them a donation card if you're able to do it tonight, or a contribution. We'll take anything. We appreciate it. And if you're able to, we would love for you to join us at Camden Yards on June 26th as we welcome our newest stage sponsor, the Baltimore Orioles. We're going to be there to announce with Maryland Folklife, with our partners at Maryland Folklife, to announce the lineup for the Maryland Folklife area. And I've been told that I'm going to throw a first pitch, so anybody that wants to train me up, any baseball gurus in the room, actually any Orioles fans in there? Yeah, that's right. I need to hit the kids at Bennett. Any Orioles fans in the room? Okay, all right. So then join us. Come on up and watch at least one good pitch get thrown in that game. I love our O's. I love our O's. I love our O's. And we're playing the Padres. We're going to win. Come on. I am accepting applications from trainers, and I'm working out that arm. But seriously, folks, thank you again for your support. Thank you for your presence. And now I'm going to invite up the NCTA Associate Director, Blaine Wade, who's going to introduce our entertainment for the evening. Blaine.
Thank you, Mayor Day. And thank you all for coming out this evening for this great kickoff for the 79th National Folk Festival. Along with my colleagues at the NCTA, we're so excited to be back in Salisbury for our second year, and really looking forward to this year's festival, and then again in our third year as we reach an amazing milestone for ourselves and for the National Folk Festival with our 80th National Folk Festival, which we're so happy to celebrate in our home state of Maryland here in Salisbury. Tonight, before I introduce the artist I know you're all so excited and ready to see, and going to give you a taste of what this year's National Folk Festival is going to be all about, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the artistic work the NCTA does and the mission that guides our work and our thinking and the artists we bring here to celebrate with you. So what do we mean when we talk about folk and traditional artists at the National Folk Festival, which is the oldest celebration of folk and traditional arts in the country? When we're talking about folk and traditional arts, these are forms of music, dance, storytelling, foodways that are passed down from generation to generation within families and communities. So these are not traditions that are learned in school, at conservatories, or in formal settings. Instead, they're passed on from father to son, mother to daughter, and across more generations than that in home kitchens, in churches, on skipjacks in the Chesapeake Bay, and in dance halls where music is played. And these are traditions that, beyond that, define cultural and community identity, how people think of themselves when they are asked to define themselves and communicate to others that core essential quality of what their culture or their community is all about. And that's what these artists bring to the stage to share with audiences at the National Folk Festival, is that essential piece of their community story and their family story. Beyond that, we also present artists who are seen as the very best in their communities. They are the artists that these communities recognize as the best practitioners carrying these traditions forward. So when we come to Salisbury this September and next September with this festival, we're bringing the best of America's traditional artists. And we're trying to build appreciation and awareness for these national treasures at this festival. Another major goal we're trying that we always strive for with the National Folk Festival is it's a celebration of the many diverse cultural communities that make up America at any given point in time. From long-standing indigenous communities all the way through the country's newest arrivals, new immigrant communities such as the Haitian community that's building a home here on the eastern shore of Maryland. So at this year's festival, you'll see Navajo hoop dancers and healers, as well as a ballad singer from the Blue Ridge Mountains who's carrying on a tradition that goes back 7 generations in her family. Alongside that, you'll see bluegrass artists who have brought that music from out of Appalachia up to the mid-Atlantic as people were migrating in search of work in industrial centers in this part of the country. But it's also about celebrating newer, emerging art forms, urban traditions such as go-go from Washington, D.C., which we're so happy to bring out here to Delmarva. And then again, talking about new communities, we're going to be bringing one of the premier Musique Raisin group, which is Haitian roots music, here to Salisbury and trying to build a bridge to that community, all as a way of celebrating the many diverse communities that make up America today and Delmarva in the 21st century. So taken as a whole, what this festival is all about is partnerships on the grassroots level, as the mayor was talking about, to create change in American communities. And what the National Folk Festival is ultimately doing is trying to define and celebrate who we are as a nation. So I can think of no one better to kick off and to jumpstart the 79th National Folk Festival than one of the great American guitar heroes and a former longtime resident of the state of Maryland down in Calvert County, than Bill Kirchen. And Bill is called the Titan of the Telecaster and is also renowned for celebrating and creating his own tradition of Diesel Billy, or called Diesel Billy, which sort of captures in that one term a great songwriting tradition of folks out on the road, truck drivers and their lives, but is touching on all the different strands of country music, from bluegrass to western swing to country tearjerkers and honky tonk and rockabilly. Growing up, Bill was a fan of major leading figures, especially country guitar players like Merle Travis, James Burton, and Buck Owens. He first came to fame and national attention through his work with Commander Cody and his Lost Planet Airmen. It's Bill's guitar playing. Give him a round of applause. It was Bill's guitar playing that drove the top 10 hit Hot Rod Lincoln, which is in and of itself just a romp through so much of American guitar history that you're going to hear when he hits the stage in just a second. From there, Bill went on to great acclaim, and he's widely considered one of the foremost exponents of American electric guitar traditions, often called a one-man living museum of these traditions. When he lived in Maryland, he fronted his own group, Bill Kirchen and Too Much Fun, and they were great hits in the DC area music scene. We're thrilled to bring him back to Maryland, where he's joined by his longtime collaborators, bassist Johnny Castle and drummer Jack O'Dell. Please give him a great big round of applause. Bill Kirchen.
Oh my God, what a build-up. Thank you. We'll never live up to that. So good to be here, so good to be involved with the National Folk Festival again. This will be, in the fall, my 8th appearance at a National Folk Festival, and then it's such a great, thank you. Not only is it a wonderful place to play, but it's a musical experience I can only get by going literally around the world to see all the stuff that you get to see, or people I would have no chance of ever getting to cross paths with anyplace else. So anyway, here's a little taste. Here's what we're going to show you. There's all kinds of other stuff. All right. And if we're not too loud, we can always turn up. Well, you left our favorite song playing on the radio. Oh, way to go, man, that should roll. And your lying love letters keep on turning on. And I'm gonna burn them on, and I love it so. So if you're gonna get gone, get a little longer. If you're gonna move along, move a little bit longer. You think I want you back, you couldn't be wrong. Go on, get a little longer. So now you left me for good just a week ago, and the way I know, man, you told me so. But when it comes to leaving, well, enough alone, you've never shown that you've ever known. So if you're gonna keep going, get a little longer. If you're gonna move along, move a little bit longer. You think I want you back, you couldn't be wrong. Go on, get a little longer. Get a little longer. You snuck back into my dreams where you don't belong, and then you came on strong. Oh, you know that's wrong. So I turned to walk away, and I learned in you, well, that'll never do if we're really cool. So if you're gonna keep going, get a little longer. If you're gonna move along, move a little bit longer. Think I want you back, you could be wrong. Come on, get a little longer. But if you're gonna keep going, get a little longer. If you're gonna move along, move a little bit longer. Think I want you back, could be wrong. Well, if you're gonna get going and you're gonna move along, so long, get a little longer. right, here's a taste of a Western swing. I actually left Maryland and moved to Texas. I apologize. But there were grandchildren involved, so forgive me. This is music started in Texas and went all around the world. It's Western swing. Johnny Castle on the bass to sing it for you. Tell me who's that who? You got me jealous of me. Who walks in when I walk out? Now the neighbors all know, but they don't tell me who's that who? You got me worrying. That's who. When weekends are kind of less, something they used to. Every day I'm away, I get the feeling you're free. Who walks in when I walk out? All right, the rest of the entire orchestra here would like to introduce you to Mr. Jack O'Dell on the drums and Knoxville now.
I'm riding in the night, I'm going, don't you hear the old noise of mine? I'm thinking of you, I'm getting so blue, wondering why every day. Yeah, I'm going back home, back to the girls you love. See her right, never wrong, I'm a girl I can't love.
Wear it out up here. We can do one more song. We got a hit, as Len mentioned, we had a hit record of this in 1972. My papa said, son, you drive me to drinking if you won't quit driving that hot rod Lincoln. Now you heard the story of the hot rod race, Ford and Merce set the pace. The story's true, I'm here to say, I was driving the Model 8. Now the Model 8 bottom made it look like a pup, had a Lincoln motor that was really souped up. 8-cylinder, used them all, overdrive, just won't stall. It had 4 living gears, the dual exhaust, got a 4-barrel power, but you really get lost. Safety tubes, I ain't scared, the brakes are good, tires fair. Pull out of San Pedro late one night, I have a moon and the stars shining bright. Climbing up the Grapevine Hill, passing cars but they were standing still. Now all of a sudden, in the winter of the night, Cadillac sedan passing by, and the mark was made that's a car for me, but in the taillight is always exists. Now the fellow's all ready for being behind. I says, man, I'm gonna make my leg unwind. If I put up the gas, man alive, I shove it down into overdrive. Oh, I lit up 210, I twist the speedometer off the end. My foot was glued like lead to the floor. That's all there is, there ain't no more. Johnny said I lost some sense, and the phone poles looked like I took a fence. He said, slow down, I see spots. Lines in the road look just like that. I took a corner side, swiped the truck, crossed my fingers just for luck. I had the fenders clicking on the guardrail post. Jack Odell, white as a ghost. Out of the back when I started to gain on the Cadillac. I knew I could catch him. I thought I could pass. You know why then? I'd be low on gas. Flame was coming from out of the side. You could feel the tension, man. What a ride. I said, boys, I got a license to fly. The caddy pulled over. Let me by. Semi-trucks full of Purdue chicken parts. VW bus full of hippies. Back where I'm from in Michigan, Edmund Fitzgerald pulled over. Who should pull over, let me by, but the late great Johnny Cash. Wayne Eddy. The Ventures. My high school classmate, Ann Arbor High School class of 65, Iggy Pop and the Stooges. Now I be your dog. Now out, Bo Diddley. America's poet laureate Chuck Berry. Elmore James. The Ray family, Link Ray. Albino Ray. Stevie Ray. The Kings, Freddie King, D.B., Albert King. Now, we definitely had a relaxing King, Ben E. King. Got a special one for the ladies, Carol King. Thanks, fellas. One more time for the ladies, Carol King. Beautiful, thank you. Don King. Finally, all the sports fans, Billie Jean King.
Yeah.
The King. Englishman. Deep Purple. Rolling Stone. The Fab Four. The Sex Pistols. Jimmy. And then all of a sudden the rod started knocking down and the gypsy started to rock and I looked in the mirror, there's a blue light blinking, the cops left my heart right there. They arrested me, they threw me in jail, they called my pappy on my belt and said, son, you're gonna drive me to drinking if you won't quit driving the hot rod Lincoln. Oh, let's pick it up, fellas. Thanks, everyone. Hey, I'll see you at the Folk Festival. I can't wait, you guys. Thanks so much.
Oh my gosh. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Karchin. And in case it hasn't been hammered home enough, they're going to be back here in September. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you again for your presence, for your participation. Right now, I need a couple of my friends to come forward. Will our co-chairs, Jim and Jan Perdue, and their friend Randy Day, whoever that guy is, please come forward. Let's hear it for them. Let's hear it for Jim and Jan and Randy.
Thank you, Mayor. Wow, that was a lot of energy. That was great. Randy and I are up here in the Purdue uniform. Blue blazers, that's what we wear. Skip, by the way, can you come here? Yeah, I forgot.
Oh, that's symbolic.
Look, thanks everybody for being here tonight to get the ball rolling on the National Folk Festival for 2019. I can't tell you what an honor it is for Jan and I over here to serve alongside Governor and First Lady Hogan as the co-chairs of this event. And standing on stage the first night of the festival and looking over the crowd was truly an experience to remember. And I'll tell you, just walking from Main Street down to the pavilion was a fascinating night, just to see that many people, walking to where the music was. Purdue's kept our base of operations here in Salisbury for almost 100 years next year. And we stay because we know there's no better place to live, grow, and raise a family. And we stay for the generations that are of employees who depend upon us, and of course we depend upon them. And through the Arthur W. Purdue Foundation, we seek to improve the lives of the folks who live here by providing better opportunities for education, cleaner environment, and access to humanities. And Jan is definitely the humanities. She's the art part of our family, and I know she loves this festival and all of the arts that go on in the community. We do believe the heritage and culture of this area is to be celebrated, and that makes the Folk Festival a perfect place to do it. As I've traveled the past year, people are amazed that the National Folk Festival is in Salisbury, almost as amazed as they were when the National Tennis Tournament was in Salisbury many years ago when I was a youngster. But the diverse lineup offers something for everyone. The biblical amounts of rain keep the attendees nice and cool. Oh, well, maybe that's not exactly the case, but it was good for corn last year, wasn't it? But let's hope the rain won't be here this year. But Jan and I are extremely excited to continue to serve this wonderful event and ask your help, which I don't have to ask. It's amazing. The people here today are the people who were here last year. And this community is blessed to have so many people that volunteer their time and help out tremendously. I know last year at the festival and will again this year. It's truly inspirational what you all do, and we thank you so much. And one piece of advice, Mayor, I was telling Bill over the last, one time about a few years ago, I had to throw the first pitch out at the Shorebirds, which is a step down, I understand, but I practiced all day long because I had to get the ball over the plate. And so when I got out there, I was standing on third base, and Chris Bitters and Jimmy were getting ready to take me out, and they were honoring Earl Weaver that night, and he was standing next to me. And I had never met Earl Weaver, but I asked Earl, I said, look, I got this problem. I got to throw this pitch, and I don't know whether to throw it hard or soft. He said, throw it in the damn dirt. And so, sure enough, I went out there and threw it, and it landed about 3/4 of the way to the plate and rolled to the catcher. And I told somebody, when Earl Weaver tells you to throw it in the dirt, you throw it in the dirt. So that was a good piece of advice. So thank you all so much for being here and all you do. We appreciate it. Thanks. Now I would like to introduce Jake's dad.
Yeah. I've gone through life being Jake's dad. And it's okay. Last year we were gathered like this, and I don't think any of us really knew what was ahead of us. We had a lot of fun just thinking about it and planning it and creating the high school challenge that we did last year. That was a lot of fun. But we were thinking, okay, we're going to hear some music and some art. We'll see some arts, but we really didn't understand the impact it would have on our community. And it's been just a wonderful impact. And I'm so looking forward to this next year. You know, you felt it last year when you walked through there. Jim talked about that walk from the podium down to the whichever pavilion it was, I don't remember, but it was really powerful with that New Orleans jazz band leading the way. It was fantastic. We saw everybody come together. Everybody, all different kind of folks. And that's one of the beautiful things I like about what's happening in our community. This community will be what we make it. It's not up to somebody else to make this community all it can be. It's not up to just Jacob. It's not up to the county council alone. It's not up to the city council. It's up to all of us. This is our home to make it what it can be. And I think the festival is a contributor to that effort. Purdue believes in this community. As Jim said, this has been our home as a company for 99 years, 100 next. That'll be a party. We continue to support the Folk Festival as presenting sponsor. I am personally particularly grateful to all of you for supporting this effort. I think it's a fantastic thing for Salisbury, for this greater community, and I'm excited, and I hope to the good Lord it doesn't rain again. So, thank you.
Folks, I hope what you just saw, and you know what I saw when I was standing right there, I saw three people that care very much about this community. And I hope in reflecting upon what it means when the Purdue family and corporation is willing to step forward and say, we want to present a festival of this scale. We want to help our community, Salisbury and Wicomico County, be on the national stage. I hope what it says to you is that it simply reflects on who we are as a community. It's a reflection of us. It takes leadership. It takes leaders, Jim and Jan and Randy, to say, we stand forth, we believe, and this community is never going to be the same again. And that's what I just saw standing there, is I saw three people who said, we're going to lead. And we've been leading for a long time, no doubt about it. But we're going to lead as a community. And so, once again, I just want to say thank you. And I mean what I say when I say it's a reflection. For every single one of us who have found a way to support this effort and found a way to support our community in general, you know, that's a reflection on each and every single one of you and what you've done and what you continue to do to make this city great and this community great. I'm just forever grateful to each of you. So, one of Salisbury's, one of our communities, left us. And normally, I hold a deep grudge for anybody that leaves Salisbury. I mean deep. I delete our Facebook friendship. I delete your cell phone number from my phone. You don't exist once you leave Salisbury. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But don't leave. But one person who left was Laura Bottinelli. And Laura left for very green pastures, I think, to become the leader of the National Council for the Traditional Arts, our partner in the National Folk Festival, and the steward of the National Folk Festival brand and 79 years of history. And with that, I'd like to welcome our friend and somebody who I'd like to still think of as a Salisburian, Laura Bottinelli.
Good evening, everyone. It's so great to be back in Salisbury. When I drove in, it feels like I never left. I got my lunch and ran into friends at Acorn Market and come here tonight and see so many people that I love from the Salisbury community. And of course, now we have had the excitement of our presenters and Bill Kirchin and the background on NCTA, and I come out here without notes. But my story, I want to tell you, is moving from the Eastern Shore and over to Washington, D.C., and taking on the leadership role at NCTA, and how I've been able to describe Salisbury on the Western Shore. And part of the opportunity that we have is to make the National Folk Festival widely embraced in Maryland and beyond as a flagship celebration of our nation's culture and arts. And having Salisbury as the community that is stewarding this festival is really quite an honor, and to know I know it so intimately has been very helpful. You know that Salisbury is the 7th fastest growing job market in the United States. It is the fastest growing city in Maryland. It has an average median age of 27. And people are talking about Salisbury, Maryland. I hear it. Well, what is that town? What's going on down there? What's the National Folk Festival? Who is Mayor Day? What is that guy doing down there? Can I meet him? Can I come to the National Folk Festival? And so yes. It is quite an impressive stature that Salisbury has been able to bring into a national conversation, and I'm honored to be able to connect it into the work with the National Folk Festival. And I know as part of the recruitment team to bring the National Folk Festival here that we had a pretty darn compelling story. And we got the festival, and I'm very honored to be able to continue this mission. But I wanted to offer to you, and at least explain how, as I've been talking to a lot of new friends in the Washington and Baltimore region about this work, how quickly people are just aware, yeah, this is something we should be a part of. And you may have noticed, as we announced today, our newest sponsor with the Baltimore Orioles, and how really it was an easy conversation to have about how these two organizations could come together, have a shared mission in stewarding our nation's traditions, and obviously the national pastime, lining up with the nation's running longest folk festival. There's a lot of energy. Baseball is layered in its rituals and its traditions and its connections to people across socioeconomic backgrounds, and the big league and the minor leagues and the community leagues. So the event that we're hosting on June 26th is a way, you talked about, Randy Day talked about the high school challenge. And the more and more I think about what we're doing on June 26th, it is the Baltimore Business Community Challenge. It is the challenge to bring those resources from the Western Shore to benefit and lift this festival into the stature it needs in the state of Maryland. And we're going to get it done. So many of you, and we'll talk about at the local level how your support is able to be recognized and connected through this event. But as what I really want to ask is, you know, Salisbury is very close to Baltimore. Many of you have relationships on the Western Shore. And to be able to bring out those Baltimore business connections into Oriole Park and have them meet the National Folk Festival and be a part of our celebration is going to make a huge difference this year. So on that day, if you join us as a sponsor, you get some pretty cool experiences. It starts out with a private backstage tour of Oriole Park through the belly of the beast, and I'll look to Blaine when we went and did our scouting trip, and you get to see what's going on behind the scenes in a game. It's just this like sort of popping with energy of all these, you know, the energy of a ballpark. So that's, you arrive and you get to take the backstage tour. And then we've been offered the opportunity to do a performance from the center field deck. And so we have Billy McComiskey, who is a National Heritage Fellow and a beloved member of the Irish traditional music community. He'll be joined with some other members from the Irish traditional music community of Baltimore for a pregame performance that will be broadcast throughout the stadium for all the attendees of the park. And meanwhile, our sponsors will have VIP access to that, and then they'll be able to adjourn to our sponsor suite and be able to watch the game from the private section that we'll have. Now, I know many of you are like, well, that sounds great, Laura, but I'm not able to come into this, or my friends would not be able to access that. Well, don't worry. We have a National Folk Festival fan section for the regular ticket price. We're sending our supporters from Baltimore and Salisbury into section 388, where we will make an impact. I've already heard some plans for how to get groups of people up into the stadium that day. So we get to go to the ballpark together. We get to have a great time. And those of us who are able to help bring resources to the table to help create the National Folk Festival will be able to make that happen. But you know what? Anyone who wants to come out to the game and can get their way up to Baltimore is going to be part of that National Folk Festival fan section. And we're going to show Baltimore, we're going to show the Orioles that this is a major investment in the traditional culture of Maryland, and then broadly the United States, and of course then the local impact it has here. And aren't we going to have fun when we get to go to the Orioles stage at the National Folk Festival next year? I think that might be a good time. So I also want to thank and recognize, if you see over there, our generous corporate supporters. We have many corporate supporters here in the Salisbury region, and now we are extending and bringing in more from beyond the shore. And then, of course, to thank our host, the Salisbury University, and then our co-partner with the Salisbury Arts and Entertainment District, who have done a fine job stewarding our relationship to make sure that we are able to sort of sustain the infrastructure that's needed to produce an event of this size. So now I get to invite my partners in crime up to the podium. These are the co-chairs of the National Folk Festival Fundraising Committee, and they include Mike Dunn, Marty Mead, and Dick Morris, who are going to tie a little bow on all of these things and pick up anything that we may have left out.
Okay, you know, there's an old adage that if you do something well one time, some idiot will ask you to do it again. So today, I'm one of those idiots. Our community delivered big time last year with the National Folk Festival. Despite the rain, we had 60,000 people downtown, an economic impact of $18 million, and a lot of smiling faces. First Shore was proud to be part of that success. 28 of our associates worked that weekend, accumulating more than 250 hours. And the association and its associates contributed more than $25,000 for the various sponsorships. Why'd we do it? We're a relatively small community bank, and like many of you, we give to many, many other community causes. And frankly, this event cost us money in the short run. But that's only the short run. It's an investment. We know what is good for our community is good for First Shore Federal and our community. And there's a lot of good happening in our community these days. This event, many others over many weekends, new developments such as the City Center, One Plaza East, the ongoing expansion of PRMC, Salisbury University coming downtown, streetscape improvements, the Salisbury Amphitheater, which later this week will host the celebration of the James N. Bennett State Championship, and so much more yet to come. But in the meantime, we have a legacy wall to finish. This summer, Brian LeCompte will be renovating the existing legacy wall to make it something that we can all treasure. All you have to do is to drive by the Giving House at PRMC to see the quality of Brian's work, and you'll know what our legacy wall will look like. So if you haven't made yourself or your family part of the legacy of the National Folk Festival in Salisbury, please consider a $1,000 contribution to help us finish the wall and help us fund year 2 of this event. The new wall will be there for long past our own days in this community. That's what legacies are. And if you have already contributed, well, we're the idiots this year who will ask you to do it again. Dick Morris will talk now about the community stage, and Mike Dunn will talk about all the other local sponsorships that are available. It's said that one person working hard can make a difference. Many people working together can bring about change. We're making progress, and our community is changing for the better because of it. So thank you very much for being part of this progress.
Okay, so show of hands, how many people went to the 2018 Folk Festival? All right, so there's the choir. How many are coming to 2019 and bringing more people? I mean, without a doubt, the National Folk Festival is the greatest event that's ever happened in Salisbury. And I grew up on Middle Boulevard, right down there. Nothing better. It's bigger than the tennis tournaments, and that's like folklore. But it's happening again and again. And like Marty said, you know, the Legacy Society was where we started last year. You could think of it as the founding fathers and the founding mothers of the National Folk Festival, and they're in on the ground floor. And thank you to all those supporters for buying in and drinking the Kool-Aid and making it happen. But we can't build a wall every year. But we do have to build stages every year, 7 of them. But it takes a village to raise a stage, a community to raise that stage, a community stage. And then I thought, well, community, what's that word? Now I got to say something profound. And so I went looking for inspiration, and I went to where all inspiration seekers go, to the Googles. And what they told me about community is, first off, community is inclusive, and it's accessible, and it's keeping it open to all with no barriers to entry, not a wall in sight, except for the Legacy Society wall. And it's cohesive, and it brings people together, and certainly something like the National Folk Festival does that. And it's also tangible. I mean, you could feel it leading up to it. In the days and weeks after, you can feel the energy. And now you can sense that it's getting ready to happen again. And certainly through what we found, you can measure the economic benefit and what it means to us, and that it's good for us. But community brings people together in ways that they wouldn't be able to do, and have things that they couldn't have in isolation. And I think the National Folk Festival does all that for Salisbury and more. It makes our community better, and that's the task with our community stage, to help make our community even better, to raise a community stage year after year for the good of the community, to be responsible for our community, and to keep it inclusive and accessible. And I think those two things are what make it so much bigger than the tennis tournaments, is that it's open to everyone who can walk in. It's not you need a ticket or an armband. It's accessible to everyone. And it's an opportunity for us to showcase our town and our home with international talent of a national event on our local community stage. And it's just that we need the help of everyone to raise that stage. I'm asking for your help and support. Any and all support is needed and much appreciated. If you're able, we're asking you to consider making a significant donation to support our community, our folk festival in our town. The donors for the community stage at that silver, gold, and platinum level, your names will be listed on the community stage during the folk festival. If you have the ability to ask your employers for a matching corporate gift or a corporate donation, do it. It works. We challenged each other at work, and Shore Distributors stepped up this year and went more than we did in 2018, and I'm really proud of that. So there's lots of ways to help, and lots of ways and opportunities to be involved. So please stop any of us and ask. It's not a problem, you know. And to everyone here, thank you for your support. Thank you for helping spread the word, because most of the people here are already bought in. They're already members. And thank you for helping to raise the stage, and thank you for being part of our community. And I can't wait to see all of you at the 2019 National Folk Festival in September. So, thanks. So, now we have Mike Dunn. Thank you. Mike.
I wanted to give a shout out to Caroline. I see her husband Dan over there. So Dan, we're going to go through you to give this. There she is. So listen. Here's the thing. The Greater Salisbury Committee, which I'm proud to be the president and CEO of, we've been behind a lot of great ventures in this community for a long time. When I first met Caroline and Dan, it was when the GSC was celebrating its 50th year and Wicomico County was celebrating its 150th year in this room. And about 5 feet over that way, I introduced Caroline as Christine, the new head of the National Folk Festival, or some name like that. Fact of the matter is, she is indefatigable. There you go, Karen, there's one of those big words. She is fearless every single day, as I've said to many, many people. I'm not sure I'd want to lay my head on my pillow knowing all the things that she has to do to make this happen. This is $1 million a year ask. And Caroline goes to bed every single night knowing all of that is on her shoulders, but knowing also that she has an entire community behind her. So Caroline and Dan, thank you so much for all that you do for the National Folk Festival. So at the end of the day, it's all about this. Can you give? And if you can you give more? And if you can't give more, can you tell friends, business associates, everybody that you know to give? Everybody has said all that needs to be said. This is an extraordinary event. My brother from Austin, Texas, my sister from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, my sister from Rock Hall, they're coming. They were here last year. Invite your friends and family. We have a lot of work to do. It's fun work, it's rewarding work, and it literally is the best thing that has happened to this community in 50 years. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to propose a toast to our incredible co-chairs, to every single one of our supporters, and to a transformational experience, September 6th, 7th, and 8th, 2019, for the second National Folk Festival in Salisbury, Maryland. A toast. Cheers. Cheers.